Take a gas, vacuum of equal volume, and we're going to remove the barrier. You know what's going to happen spontaneously, right? The gas is going to fill the available volume.
Is the expansion of a gas into a vacuum. I have in one of these bulbs some bromine, and in the other I have a vacuum. And if I open the tap between these two, you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other. Now that is the simplest change we can have, perhaps, because all that happens is a change in entropy. In this case, the expansion into a vacuum, nothing else is involved. There's no energy change, there's no temperature change, there's no change except entropy.
Some of you may be familiar with the old experiment about the hammer and the feather. Well, in this case, our feather will be played here by this four of spades. And you may expect everything up here in microgravity to float, because most everything does float. However, sometimes something a little different happens. Sometimes you just might find a little pocket of gravity. However, sometimes something a little different happens. Sometimes you just might find a little pocket of gravity. However, sometimes something a little different happens. Sometimes you just might find a little pocket of gravity.
Get cleaning my teeth. So I'm going to suck the water off it, because where else would it go? Nice wet toothbrush. Grab some toothpaste. We just use standard toothpaste in space. Squeeze a little on, not too much, because you're going to have to clean it up later. Okay, so there's my toothpaste on my toothbrush. It's wet. It's ready to go. It's loaded. Brush my teeth just like normal. Get them all. Especially the ones in the back. You should brush your teeth for about as long as you can sing Happy Birthday. That should be long enough. Okay, so now what am I going to do? I've got a mouthful of toothpaste stuff. I got a dirty toothbrush.
Without the container, there can be no pressure. Therefore, if the sky was a vacuum, as asserted in the heliocentric rhetoric, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. Outer space, claimed to be a vacuum, is fake. Therefore, any claims from that claimed to be sky vacuum are automatically fake, including but not limited to pictures of Earth from space. The region is fake, second law of thermodynamics violation. Therefore, the pictures claimed to have come from the fake region are also fake. Orbits in a sky vacuum, which is also a begging the question fallacy, which I won't detail now, is claimed to take place in a fake place called space, therefore automatically fake. Same goes for satellites, all debunked by the second law of thermodynamics and several other laws of nature, descriptions of how things occur always. Standard gas law, Boyle's law, Avogadro's law, these are all violated by the assertion that we have a sky vacuum. We don't. And any stage performance that comes from that region is also fake, including the ISS, taking place on a stage on Earth, on high wire, not in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum.
check this out. Pay attention. Right in this area. Whoop. I mean, for the love of God. If you guys still think this shit's real, just unfollow me.
The illusion is that there's a space station and satellites and telescopes just floating out there in infinite space. But you and I know that no matter how high you go, you come right back down. Whatever goes up must come down. The illusion is that at some point, if you go high enough, this gravity they claim exists that pulls you back down to the Earth, suddenly just you pop out of it and into the vacuum of space. Now, the vacuum of space can't exist because it's connected to the non-vacuum of the atmosphere in Earth and all the other supposed planets that exist. So a vacuum must be a closed system, but they claim space is a vacuum and space is an open system. So it's philosophically impossible for space to be a vacuum. And the way that they fool us into thinking that this actually is plausible is threefold. First way they do it is in zero-G planes, which are Boeing 737s that do parabolic maneuvers that have a free-fall illusion, a free-fall effect rather, that happens for about a minute, where you can be floating in these planes. And that's how they get this outer space look like you're floating in outer space. The second way is through wires, harnesses, and green screen for the longer shots. In the ISS, for instance, they do that. And the third way, for like the outside shots they do, are in pools. They're actually underwater, and this is confirmed by the fact that there's bubbles rising in the pool in a lot of their shots. And people on YouTube have dissected a lot of the ISS and other supposed space footage and all the space bubbles that are coming out of their helmets. Some people are even wearing scuba gear. They found that as well. So that they fake these zero-G illusions by being in water, by being in zero-G planes, and by being in harnesses in front of a green screen. And that makes us think that it's possible that out there in space you could just be kind of floating around like they show us in the movies. But as far as we'll ever know, as far as you or I would ever know, we go as high as we can in a plane or a balloon or a rocket, and we come right back down. Even the rockets they send up, if you're honest about it, you'll notice that they don't go straight up. All their rockets start a parabolic curve, they start to arc over, and the ones they claim are successful are the ones that go out of view before they come all the way back down. And if anybody asks, why do they always curve over like that? They just say that they're going around the curvature of the ball, or that they'll reach escape velocity soon, and at some point they'll just pop right out of the gravity, and then they'll be floating, which is another problem, because if you were in a vacuum and you were using rocket thrusters or anything to thrust yourself forward, you wouldn't go forward or in any direction you wanted to. You just spin wildly out of control like a gyroscope in 360 degrees in 3 dimensions, spinning wildly. You don't go anywhere that way. So the whole idea of space travel is a big joke. It's all science fiction.